Alright. Special features, just come along and have a chat with me. Some tea and maybe we might have a little fun. Special features, just talking about the movies and then something that might strike a chord with everyone. Strike a chord with everyone. Special features. Yeah.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Special Features Podcast. We're back, and I'm here with my dad. My name is Maximilian Greatshell. This is my dad, Walter Greatshell.
Hello.
Today we're going to be recording off of one mic, so it might sound a little different. That's just because my other mic, the cord, the USB cord that connects to it, the mini USB or whatever, shit the bed. So basically I scoured the house, tore apart, drawers, put my girlfriend's jewelry in the toilet, tore furniture apart. My dad can attest to this. He was here. I went on like this wild, savage rampage looking for a USB cable, but I couldn't find one. So
It was terrifying.
So I ordered a new one on Amazon. So after this episode, we should be back in good order. But for now, we're doing this. We're gonna sit right next to each other. It puts us real close.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Because we are close.
Familial affection.
Yes.
That's my daddy in the land of hush. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I wanted to start this podcast off strong because I was talking to my dad about how last night I was watching one of my favorites, The Birdcage,
Yes.
with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, which
Yep.
is a remake, a comedy remake of a French film,
Yep.
which I think might be based on a play. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know about the play, but I've seen the French movie, Le
Yes.
Cage aux Folles,
Le Cage aux Folles,
the bird cage, the cage of birds.
The Caged Bird.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah. I like I'm more of a fan of the original, the French one, than I am of the remake.
You've seen the French one?
Yeah. In fact,
Who has seen the French one?
when it came
French
out,
people.
That's true. No, when it came out, I was in high school, and I actually went on a date and took a girl to see this movie, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay, well, people care about the Robin Williams version. That's all I'm saying.
And Robin Williams is great.
Well, yeah, but Nathan Lane is honestly the best part of that movie.
Yeah, he's
and
good.
I know for a while he was wasn't he closeted for a while, for a
Nathan
long
Lane?
time in his career? I think.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not 100% sure, but either way, he very effectively plays the part in the movie of obviously he is gay,
Right.
But regardless of I don't know, I don't think his actual mannerisms are as flamboyant as the character in the movie.
Oh no, I wouldn't.
So I feel like he does a really good job of putting on a really effective show of being like a drag queen Miami housewife gay man. You know what I mean?
No, he does, and in fact, in the original film, Le Cage aux Folles, the guy, I don't know the actors' names, but they do a wonderful job also playing those characters. I think both versions are successful. I think you may be right, though. I think it might be based on a play.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I prefer the newer version is because I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I mean, Mom showed it to me growing up.
Yeah.
And so it's a big part of my childhood, the same way that I'm going to compare it to some other movies I have nostalgia for that I don't think are as good,
Okay.
but it is better than these movies. I really like Hook, for example. Hook I have a lot of nostalgia for, but I do think The Birdcage is a better movie than Hook.
Yeah.
Which is not me saying that Hook is terrible. I because I grew up with Hook, I have a lot of love for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think that Hook has highs and lows. It has some things that are quite good. I like Robin Williams' performance.
Yeah. Well, also, both of the movies have a flamboyant older gay couple.
That's true.
Because The Birdcage has Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, and Hook has the guy that plays Shmi and Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Which is a beautiful combination.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry that I don't remember
fun.
the actor's name that played Shmi.
Yeah, it's what the hell is his name? He's that He's
Is
the
it Bob Hoskins?
Bob Hoskins.
It
thank
is Bob
you.
Hoskins.
Yes, it is
okay.
Bob Hoskins.
Wow, the moment that I said I couldn't remember, that popped back into my
Yeah, I'm
head.
glad you remembered. Yeah, he's obviously amazing in everything.
And also, there's, I just can't get that Dustin Hoffman line out of my head. I want a party. I want a cookie. me, now.
Nice.
Now. Dustin Hoffman is my favorite Captain Hook ever.
He's a great Captain Hook. Sorry, the dogs are whining in the background.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I feel like at this point we've had them gated off in the kitchen for 2 episodes, so we probably don't need to reintroduce that concept.
No,
but they're out there crying.
Yeah,
they're fine though. I gave them.
They have
I
food
gave
and
them
water.
I gave them like a chicken breast before we started this, and they were stoked on that.
They were very happy. I mean, you were saying that this movie you associate it with Hook, which I think is kind of a funny thing to associate it with, but not wrong.
Yeah.
Especially since it actually has some cross-dressing in it because of one of the pirates, one of the male pirates in Hook, is played by Glenn Close.
Yeah.
The great female actress, and so she.
Also, isn't there a scene where like a pirate wears a dress or something?
Well, Glenn Close. Oh, maybe.
No.
Maybe
I mean
that's
like
someone
where
else.
a male pirate
It
does.
might be. I'm not sure. I'm not incredibly.
Honestly, I don't
familiar
remember.
with-
I think there's something from the original Peter Pan about them wearing dresses.
Well,
I know the boys go off on that whole tangent about like mothers and like
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean it's England. I mean that story was like takes place in England in like what the 1800s.
Yeah, something like that.
So there was probably a lot of sexual repression.
Of course.
I mean, we've talked about like English prep schools in the early years. I mean, I don't know about now. I don't want to assume things about England now, but I know that like there's been a lot of like,
Yeah.
higgery-pokery going on with English boarding schools, which I always thought it was like funny that they never brought that up in Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, I also always think about somebody was describing the British Navy from that era,
Yeah.
the age of sailing ships and stuff, and saying that the definition of the British Navy was something like rum, sodomy, and the lash.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So on the high seas and in the boarding schools.
Yeah.
My Lord. For those who don't know what we're talking about, it has been discussed and theorized that there was much sexual misconduct that took place in like like really strict British boarding schools and like I mean obviously that kind of stuff happens all over the world all the time, but I
Sure.
just mean like there's jokes about it happening in England, I feel like.
Yeah.
And obviously high English humor for a while was like this man is wearing a dress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's a joke about like English guys being into like being dominated somewhere too, but like what I mean, it's all
Sure.
it is what it is.
It's just
Yeah.
the crazy world of.
So I guess I'm just trying to figure out if that bleeded into Peter Pan. Although I suppose you could argue that just by the nature of it, like wanting to be a boy forever and live with other boys on an island somewhere is a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Although
well,
it's also a little Lord of the Fliesy.
Yeah, I mean that's actually funny. I've never actually kind of thought about Peter Pan as being sort of a Lord of the Flies story, but it really is.
Yeah.
And,
Is someone texting you?
it's probably your mother.
Once again, my father interrupts the podcast for
Yeah.
for his wife of several hundred years.
No, it's somebody reminding me. It's the medical office
Oh.
reminding me to return the heart monitor, which I returned already today.
Okay, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna take this. I'm just gonna do that.
What if your mother does call now? I won't hear her.
It's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna put it on silent while we're doing this. It's okay.
Okay, what if her car breaks down? She needs to call
She'll
us.
call me. My phone's right here.
Okay, all right.
Anyway,
So
what the
yeah,
heck were we talking
were
about?
saying Lord of the Flies is like
It's
Peter
like
Pan,
Peter Pan,
which is
yeah.
a really interesting idea. I've never thought of that.
So
before.
Lord of the Flies, the Birdcage. I feel like you can draw like weird parallels anywhere though if you're willing to look.
Sure.
I mean, because I feel like almost everything overlaps in some ways.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, I mean, obviously, Peter Pan is like Lord of the Flies, except without murder and like completely devolving into like a nightmare. Peter Pan is like the fantasy Lord of the Flies. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like what little boys imagine, like living on an island together alone would be like.
Right.
Whereas in reality, it's more like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, exactly. Where there's hunger and people killing each other in
And Piggy.
horrible ways, and poor Piggy. Yes.
Speaking of Piggy, though, How about that imaginary food fight from Hook, huh?
Yeah, see,
Those neon colored whipped cream pies.
Yeah, there were elements of that movie that I really hated, and that was one of them. I did not like.
You're so cruel.
I'm sorry, but I was an adult when I saw it. You saw it when you were a little kid, and of course it's going to be.
You heard it here, folks. My father hated Hook.
I did not care for Hook. I mean, there were parts of it that I liked.
I think you were a little upset that I saw it at Nancy's or something. Like, there were a few things I saw as a child that I saw outside of your reach that I feel like you were like, no,
Right.
don't show him the forbidden texts.
Right. I might have.
Don't show him the dark materials.
Well, I didn't want you to develop poor taste. That was the problem. But
Sick son of a bitch.
it's funny though, because sometimes I get the Birdcage mixed up with another movie, which is one of your mother's favorites, which is Victor Victoria.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's another cross-dressing.
Also, Julie Andrews in that one.
Yeah, Julie Andrews is in that one, and that one's actually directed by Blake Edwards.
It's funny you mentioned Victor Victoria because we also just watched Mary Poppins.
Okay.
So, like,
Yeah.
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Julie Andrews in both of those movies. Well, I was actually talking to your mother recently because she, obviously is a huge fan of Julie Andrews and of Victor Victoria, and I was thinking about how I think that Julie Andrews met the director Blake Edwards on the set of Victor Victoria, and then they went on to make another movie together called.
Try not to tap the table too much.
Sorry, I'm creating.
I'm so sorry for audio listeners. Those tapping sounds from my dad, wringing his hands like a madman and tapping them against the table.
Anyway, Blake Edwards obviously got married to Julie Andrews, and what's interesting is they made another film called S.O.B. And
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's what obviously it's the short form.
My God.
But it's kind of a takedown of Hollywood, and the movie industry, and Julie Andrews, I think, wanted to kind of destroy her G-rated persona, her child-friendly, in
her
all
Poppins
the
persona.
Her Poppins persona,
Yeah.
exactly. And so in that movie, she actually got topless.
Oh my God.
Briefly, yeah.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious.
Yeah. But actually, I kind of, I thought that was an interesting artistic. I mean, she had every right.
Well, it is, and
Yeah.
also if you watch Poppins as like a teenager or like an adult,
Yeah.
I mean, you probably want to see Julie Andrews, more of Julie Andrews.
Yeah. Well, or The Sound of Music, or any number of things.
She's a cutie.
Yeah, she was very cute.
Actually, my fiance Gwen showed me a picture where she dressed up as Mary Poppins.
Oh, nice.
As a costume a couple of times, and she looks really good because she also is like very pale and has dark hair, so like it works because she's got kind of that English looking thing
I
going.
can totally see that. Yeah.
So we've decided that if she'll help me make the costumes, that we're gonna try to on Halloween do. She's gonna do. You remember the part in Mary Poppins where they go into the chalk drawing, and Mary Poppins has like the frilly umbrella and the white dress with the red ribbon.
Yeah.
And Bert has the pinstripe, has the candy striped suit.
Yep, I remember. Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be funny.
I was thinking I might have to get like a cheap white costume suit and paint stripes on it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only way I'm going to find that suit. Because there's no way like that suit is for sale anywhere.
No, probably
not for like an affordable price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's like some kind of like custom linen suit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a suit straight out of Disney wardrobe.
Yeah, I'll go to the Disney lot and I'll request the original costume.
Right.
Do you have the costume that Dick Van Dyke wore in the chalk drawing English countryside scene of Mary Poppins?
Right.
And they'll be like, it's in a vault in a glass case, and if we open the glass case, it will disintegrate.
Yeah.
It will just turn into dust.
Exactly. Along with Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, he's in the case, so he's mummified in the suit.
Right.
It's like, I don't know why this was his last request.
Right.
He's just there, he's like, what are you looking at me for?
Right.
That's one thing I was talking about, is how terrible his Cockney accent in that movie is. I mean, his performance is great.
Yeah.
But that accent is not a good accent.
No, it's very over the top.
But it's fine for like when did that movie come out? The 50s, the 60s.
It was like the 60s, I think.
Okay, yeah. So it's fine for then. Because I'm sure not a lot of people were thinking like they were just thinking like, ooh, Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. They weren't thinking like he's terrible at the Cockney accent.
Right. No, of course.
Do you think there were any Cockneys in England who saw that movie and they were like, that's ridiculous. See, now I'm doing an even worse one.
Yeah.
I'm like getting several layers of meta here. Max doing a terrible Cockney accent to joke about a bad Cockney accent performed by Dick Van Dyke. What's all this then? What's he doing? He's trying to do our accent, and he's doing it terrible.
Yeah, I think you're doing more of a Liverpudlian.
Whatever.
Yeah.
There's tricks to remember how different accents are done, and I don't remember what they are, so it's pointless.
Hey, we're not in that business. It doesn't matter.
What's all this then?
Right.
You think you can come around here? I don't know.
Yeah.
I did a Cockney accent once when I had to do some Pinter plays. I was doing like some mini Pinter plays.
Nice.
And one of the characters was Cockney.
Okay.
So I did. You saw it, but I'm sure you don't remember. It's probably from when I was like 14 or something.
Yeah, probably. I don't really remember.
Millennia ago now.
Yeah.
It's actually not that long ago. It's like 19 years ago, roughly.
Yeah.
I'm 33, almost 34 now. Check my math. If my math is bad, don't blame me because I'm terrible at mental math.
No, I was still thinking about the whole idea of these beautiful musical numbers with all these chimney sweeps, led by Dick Van Dyke.
Step in time, step in time, step in time, step in time. Never need a reason, never need a rhyme. Gotta put it up your butt. I don't know.
No, but I was thinking how I remember as a kid thinking it seemed like such a wonderful profession. You could dance around on rooftops and that sort of thing.
I think we all had that momentary stupid thought when we watched Step in Time in Mary Poppins.
Right.
In reality, I'm sure being a chimney sweep was a horrible profession.
Yeah, well,
that involved a lot of lung damage, and that I'm sure children were allowed to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say, is that they oftentimes would hire young boys, and they would send them down the chimneys naked because they knew they were going to get covered with soot,
Yeah, they just hose them down.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that the soot was carcinogenic because it's burning coal.
So they'd get cancer.
So they'd get cancer, but a specific kind of cancer.
Mesothelioma?
No, ball cancer.
Ooh.
Yeah, because that was the part of their bodies that they wouldn't wash properly.
So it would soak into their balls.
Yeah, and so they'd get
So you'd have boys walking around with like elephantiasis balls.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Like big, low hangers.
But apparently it was very common for those boys to die of that particular cancer.
Well, that's horrifying. But what came to mind for me was the South Park episode where all the guys get ball cancer on purpose so they can hop around on their balls and get free weed.
I remember that, yeah.
Because I don't want to think about the dark reality of children coming down with testicular cancer because they're chimney sweeps.
Yeah, it's pretty grim.
Speaking of which, mesothelioma is also a bad type of cancer, but I think it mostly comes from asbestos.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's probably other things. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe mesothelioma is specifically asbestos.
I think it is asbestos related. Yeah.
Okay. Well, regardless, it's fine.
Yeah.
The point is, we're not chimney sweeps. And there's no children chimney sweeps, but we'll probably be going back to that pretty soon.
You never know. I think they've legalized child labor in Florida, so
yeah.
We'll see.
So it's going down the tubes pretty fast, but pretty soon it's going to be like Victorian England in America.
Right.
I keep thinking about that. I keep thinking like I'm going to end up working a job like Bob Cratchit for Scrooge.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like barely able to feed my family, like starving, like hovering over a candle.
I think that's what some people are hoping to have happen. The people who are the bosses.
Yeah, well, the richest people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why, I'm not going to do it, but, I'm not going to do it. But that's why, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Let them eat cake and whatnot. Anyway, regardless.
Yes. So you saw the bird cage again. You seen anything else lately?
Well, Mary Poppins, I already told you.
Yes, Mary Poppins.
That was about it. I mean, on the last couple podcasts, we talked about a lot of the shows and stuff I already finished. You know, White Lotus, Severance,
Right.
various other things. We saw Mickey 17. I told you about that.
Yeah.
I'll probably try to pick something to watch tonight. We talked about Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, and that
I
was
said I
good.
recently rewatched some Wes Anderson movies.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I was
yeah.
actually thinking about maybe rewatching The Life Aquatic tonight.
Yeah, well, I just rewatched. I told you a couple weeks ago. I just rewatched The French Dispatch, and the
Yeah.
first time I saw it, it felt very busy to me, and it was hard for me to kind of really. I don't know. I can't say that I fully enjoyed it, but watching it a second time, I really did. And I think that a movie like that just has so much going on, especially visually, but also plot wise, you
Yeah.
sort of have to see it more than once to kind of get the gist of it. And
It's still not my favorite.
well, I don't.
I mean,
can't
I've
say it's
watched
my
it twice
favorite.
now, and both times I found it a little bit slow in certain parts.
Okay.
There are definitely sections I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like one of the most memorable ones is definitely the crazy painter guy that's in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's painting like Leah Seydoux naked.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
and
that's,
it's not just because of naked Leah Seydoux, because she's fantastic.
Oh, of course.
But you can see her naked in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
She's been naked in so many movies. Why does she get naked so often?
I don't know, but I'm not complaining.
Is that like her trademark,
No.
or does she just like the fact that she has a nice body and wants to show people?
Well, I think that she probably realized that once she got naked in one movie, probably, was an
In for a
easy
penny,
thing
in
to-
for a
yeah,
pound.
Exactly. Right. Kind of.
Yeah. No, I guess I get that. I'm just thinking, like, because the other movie that immediately comes to mind when I think about Leah Seydoux naked is Blue is the Warmest Color.
Yeah, and of course, and that movie is that's her being the most naked.
Yeah.
You know?
Naked lesbians.
Yeah, and for
No,
what it is.
not just naked lesbians, hot naked lesbians.
Yeah. Right.
Which
Exactly.
is probably a phrase that will get this video demonetized, but
Yeah. Be careful.
not that it's monetized anyway.
But it's art,
It's art. That's
one
true.
like the.
That's true.
the-
And if they can put artistic nudes on YouTube, I think we can talk about artistic nudity.
Exactly.
And it is a powerful movie.
Yeah, I think it won like a Cannes,
Yeah.
something. It's good.
Either way, she's also a fantastic actress. I like how mean she is.
Yeah, she's great.
She's like, I am Leah Seydoux.
Yeah.
I will rip your nuts off if you try to touch me without my consent. No, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Regardless, yeah, I like that. I like the section about the police chief's son getting kidnapped.
Yeah, I did too. That was
and
a great
like the weird
sequence.
police chef
Yep.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I like. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. I just think there's like sections where it's slow. I don't particularly love the parts with Timothy Chalamet.
I agree. That's my least favorite part. But here's what I like about that movie more than anything overall, and this is kind of what makes me think about The Life Aquatic, one of the other Wes Anderson movies, is the way that the Life Aquatic kind of creates the vibe of living on that boat. Like there's sort of a gentility to it.
Yeah.
And there's a focus on sort of the joy of life.
Well,
And
it's a reference to Jacques Cousteau.
yeah, it's a reference to Jacques Cousteau, exactly. And I always remember when I read some of those Jacques Cousteau books, they would describe what each crew member's job was. And when they were talking about like the chef, I remember there was a description of the chef on the Calypso where it was saying something like, he can make tuna taste like rabbit. And I thought, wow, I don't know, it just sounds very French.
It just sounds like 1,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It sounds like the Nautilus
Yeah,
cook.
for sure.
Like I'm going to make squid eggs taste like tapioca pudding.
Right.
I don't know.
But that's that is the appeal of that to a kid like me. I mean, when I was reading that, is that I there's something about like eating fine dining kind of food, even if it's a bit weird. Under the sea. I know there's something.
Under the sea.
Right. I mean,
Under the sea.
do you remember the old? Did you ever see those old Yogi Bear cartoons?
Yogi Berra?
Not Yogi Berra. No, that's a baseball player.
Okay.
No. The Yogi Bear. There was in the opening credits of the Yogi Bear cartoon. Yogi is flying a helicopter and he steals a picnic basket from a picnic table.
He was
using the
prone
helicopter.
to do that.
Yes, but in the opening credits, he hoists up the picnic basket, and then you see him flying the helicopter while he's eating a sandwich out of the picnic basket. Now that had a strange appeal to me as a kid. The idea.
Stop tapping the table.
Sorry about that. It's more disruptive for you to say that. Anyway.
Horses. It's horses running.
Galloping. That's
They're
right.
galloping down the plains.
This is not interesting for our listeners.
I disagree, but go on.
Anyway.
I just read Blood Meridian, so I'm obsessed with the West.
That's
Sorry,
actually,
continue.
no, that's good. Anyway, no, so I was going to say, the idea of flying a helicopter, eating a sandwich was very appealing to me. And to get back to The French Dispatch, the parts of that movie that I like the most are just the mood of living in the little French village.
Yeah.
You know, like when they're showing the close-up of the waiter holding the tray and all the different beverages are being put on the tray that he has to deliver through the
So
building.
you just like the aesthetics.
I like the aesthetics.
I mean, that's what I like about Poor Things, too.
Yeah, right.
It's like it has beautiful settings, but that doesn't necessarily, it's not enough.
No,
Like, it has
well-
to be a non-meandering script as well. Poor Things I liked a lot better than The French Dispatch.
Really? I
Yeah.
liked Poor Things, but I think I preferred The French Dispatch. Not that I dislike Poor Things. I love, that director,
Yeah.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
he's
Sorry
good.
to do like a side into that movie.
No, that's okay.
For
It
those
kinda
that
makes
don't know,
sense.
it's a movie starring Emma Stone that the director Yorgos Lanthimos made. He also made a number of other movies like The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer. All of them are good.
Yeah,
The Lobster's my personal favorite,
Me
but
too.
Poor Things is one of the more recent ones, and it was really good.
yeah. And I would say Poor Things is actually a good movie to compare with Wes Anderson movies because they both create an entire artificial fantasy.
I think Yorgos
World.
is a good director to compare to Wes Anderson.
He is,
because
absolutely.
both of them are high concept, surrealist,
Yeah,
like drama,
yeah.
like life drama.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, so that was what I liked about The French Dispatch.
What was that other movie that Yorgos Lanthimos made, like right after Poor Things? It came out.
Yeah.
It was like 3 different stories strung together.
Yeah.
That was really good too.
It was good. Something wicked or evil or I don't know. I can't remember.
Heinous Pirates of the Western Sea.
Yes.
No, that's not it. Yeah, I like most of his movies. I wasn't a giant fan of The Favorite, just because it's more of a straight historical drama, but
Yeah.
my fiance really likes that movie too, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had mixed feelings about it. I think his first movie was Dogtooth. It was all right. I mean, it's surreal like
Oh my
all of his
God.
stuff.
That cuts perfectly to The Island of Dogs.
The Island of Dogs, another Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Ghost Dog.
That's right. The Way of the Samurai.
Yeah, a Jim Jarmusch movie.
Yes, that's right. Which I actually want to see again because I only saw that movie once many years ago.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah, is
If
it?
you've never seen Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai, directed by Jim Jarmusch, it stars Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
It's an incredible movie. It's like just I don't know, a really wild like action thriller with like this amazing protagonist who's also like an amazing black actor playing like a modern day samurai. Like it's incredible. It's a really cool movie.
Yeah.
And it's really like thoughtful, but it's powerful and intense and it has some great action sequences. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit. Now I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe I'm off base here. But it reminds me of a French film about an assassin called Le Samurai, which is kind of similar. You know,
Le Sammy.
Le Sammy.
Yeah, I could see that. Either way, great movie. That's another one I want to rewatch. But I want to rewatch Life Aquatic. I think I'm more in a mood for something light like that tonight. Not that Life Aquatic is that light, but I mean, it's one of Wes Anderson's sillier movies for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Plus, I like all the weird animation in it and stuff.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Is
he's
that the
always
only
good.
Wes Anderson movie he's in?
No, he's also in the one about the hotel.
Oh, the Budapest. Yeah, he plays
Yeah.
that assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a darker character though.
It is, for
like,
sure.
Still funny, but
Yeah.
a darker character. Like Life Aquatic, his character is much goofier.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing, Steve? He
Yeah.
like plays such like a goofy little, like unconfident, not self-assured type person.
Yeah, he's kind of jealous, of you know,
Steve Zissou.
Not Steve Zissou. No, the guy who the blonde guy who comes to live on.
Is it played by Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson, yeah, he's kind of jealous of Owen Wilson's character.
I didn't even remember Owen Wilson was in Life Aquatic.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Who does he play in Life Aquatic?
He plays like he thinks he's Steve Zissou's son. Some woman told him that he was Steve Zissou's son, and so he's basically come to like live on the boat and essentially.
Yeah, well, I really need to rewatch that movie because I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But I always enjoy rewatching Wes Anderson. I enjoyed rewatching Moonrise Kingdom, and I really enjoyed rewatching The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had been so long since I'd seen that movie. And it's such a, it's like a complicated movie, but it's such a simple concept. Executed in such I feel that maybe that's what Wes Anderson is good at. He's good at taking simple ideas and making them really fun and complicated. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because if I think about the basic plots of all of his movies, they're all really simple.
Yeah, it's true.
The Royal Tenenbaums is basically, it's about a family that's estranged from their father, and over the course of their father's duplicitousness, ultimately leading to his genuineness, because he gets punished for his duplicitousness.
Yeah.
They learn to love him again.
Right.
And it's kind of, that's such a simple concept, but but that movie is so complicated.
Yeah. Well, that's what going right back to his first movie, which I know you're not a huge fan of. I really like his
Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, it's basically a movie about these kind of schmucks who try to commit a heist, which is doomed from the outset because they're stupid.
Well, Bottle Rocket has great stuff in it. I just feel like it's not a fully realized vision, because I feel like he made it within constraints, obviously, because it's his first movie, so he probably didn't have the money to make it as over the top as he might have if he had money. So for me, it feels a little bit, I don't know, it just feels very indie in a way that's different from his other movies. It feels like it's somebody learning to do something.
Absolutely, but it definitely still has his vibe. You know what I mean? It's successfully, there are some directors where their first movie doesn't really feel like their later work, but this I think does. And also this movie I think has the single most powerful moment of any of his movies, and it's the very end, when Owen Wilson.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Don't listen if you want to be surprised by this movie, but Owen Wilson.
Although this movie has been out for
for 20 years or something or more.
Probably longer than 20 years.
But
I don't. Did this movie come out in 2003? I doubt it.
I don't know when it came out, but it's old.
Actually,
it's been here for a while.
I'm showing my age too. It's 2025. So did this movie come out in 2005? Then it would be 20 years old.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I bet this movie came out in
it probably came out in the
1993 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so Owen Wilson is kind of the guy who motivates the all the crime in the movie. He's very excitable, and he plays a very Owen Wilsonish character, and he's kind of this. He's very gung ho about committing crimes and doing things that are,
96.
96. Okay, so not that far off. Anyway, in the end, he's in prison because this heist falls apart, and Owen Wilson gets put into jail, and he's talking to his brother and his friends who are on the outside of the fence, and basically they're just kind of commiserating with him for being in jail, and he suddenly says. He starts, getting all this crazy look on his face, okay, here's how we're going to escape. Yeah. And he starts laying out this escape plan, and everybody's freaking out because now they suddenly realize there's this whole thing they have to do to try to break him out of prison. And then at a certain point, he suddenly stops, and he's just kidding. Yeah. Because he knows he can't break out of prison. He's stuck in there, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And so they just kind of sadly say goodbye to him, and that's the end of the scene. And I don't know, I find that scene incredibly sad and touching, because this guy has been broken. He's not himself anymore.
I think it's interesting that you get fixated on certain scenes in certain movies. Yeah. That never happens to me.
Really?
No, I like or don't like a whole movie. I never think about the individual scenes.
Interesting.
Like, because I know you also really like the opening scene from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah, I love that
Like,
scene.
you know, which is I mean, that's probably a good way to think about movies in terms of scenes, because I feel like, you know, it helps you to understand them more from like a technical standpoint and stuff. But my problem is I don't really have good, like, I'm a very bad visual learner, and I don't really imagine things visual, and I don't have very good visual sensibilities. I mean, I'm logical. I understand what something should look like, but like, as far as when I remember movies, I remember them more for their overall concept and construction and performances in general than I do for their individual scenes.
Well, I mean, and that makes sense. I mean, obviously, a terrible movie can't be saved by a couple of good scenes. You know, just like, you know, a great movie can't have too many terrible scenes. I mean, it all has to hang
And a
together.
mediocre movie can be terrible, but only if it's great.
That's right. I think you've pinned it down.
My philosophical logic never fails me.
Yeah. Having said that, it's funny how many movies are considered to be good movies that only are good because they have like a couple of amazing scenes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I know. Well, that's, people are always breaking apart movies into pieces. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I remember there's a thing I think about a lot, which is the movie The Holiday. And in the movie The Holiday, which is a movie about like two women that swap houses, and this British woman comes to Los Angeles and lives in like this rich lady's house. And she meets this guy played by Jack Black, who's a composer.
Yeah.
And at one point in the movie, he's like taking her to this video store and like making her rent all these movies that he says have great soundtracks. And some of them are terrible movies. But you know what I mean? Because he's interested in music, all he cares about is the soundtracks.
Right.
So it's like, what makes a movie good for somebody is different for everybody.
That's true.
And, you know, just because, I mean, so I feel like there's, you know, even a bad movie, there's something to be gained from it.
Yeah.
That being said, I still try to avoid watching too many truly unpleasant movies. Not unpleasant. That's a bad way to. I like unpleasant movies, but like, I mean bad movies.
Right, movies that are poorly done.
Yeah, movies that are poorly done, or just like thrown together by some producer for money, or like that seem really not thought out or cheap.
Yeah.
Like in some terrible way.
Well,
Like there's a lot of like, I recently learned that apparently, which I did not know this was a thing you could do, but like basically anybody can put up movies that they make on Amazon and like make them for sale if you want to on Amazon Prime. So like literally anybody can put a freaking movie up on Amazon.
Wow.
So I was like wondering why on Amazon sometimes in searches I would find these like ridiculously low budget pieces of garbage that all have great posters, because everybody has access to like design technology that's out of this world now. Like anybody
Sure.
can use Canva.
Yeah.
You know, and they all have these wonderful professional looking posters, and then you start watching the movie and it's like filmed on somebody's iPhone. And the first shot is like a middle-aged man with a full beard and like a blonde Barbie wig or something.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, some terrible narration or something, and you're like,
Right.
what is this?
Yeah.
And it turns out, you know, you're thinking this is like something that looks like it was made by like, you know, a middle-aged alcoholic,
Yeah.
you know, out of his like trailer home, and it's like, oh, it was, you know.
Right. No, absolutely, and obviously filmmaking is a skill, and it's not something that people can do just because they want to. You know.
No, well, I mean, at the very least, you have to have like a notion that you're working from. It
Yeah.
can't just be like, I want to make a movie like the movies I've seen.
Right.
It has to be like, I want to create some kind of thing for a reason.
Right.
Like, because I'm thinking about like, you know, directors like John Waters. Like a lot of John Waters movies, early movies, were like very, you know,
Very crude.
thrown
Yeah.
together, very slap and dirty, you know, like, but he was making them to achieve a purpose, to create a point, essentially.
Right.
I mean, he wanted to create things that were like shock and awe, that were like, you know what I mean, that he
Yeah.
could get like the audience riled up. Like he was trying to create an effect with his work.
Right. Well, and of course this was in the '60s, so he was also trying to do this counterculture thing of startling the squares.
Yeah.
You know.
Doing everything in movies you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. He had a vision.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna try to make a movie, you should at least have some kind of vision of why you're doing it, what you're doing it for.
Right.
You can't just be like, you know, like, I don't know, some middle-aged guy who's retired to Aruba after like, you know, 40 years of working in car insurance.
Right.
Who's like, I really do like a lot of movies. I think I might make one. Like unless you really are somebody who's always wanted to make a movie and you have a clear vision of something you want to do. And I do not mean like, don't make a zombie movie. Don't make a vampire movie. Those kind of things are very hard to make on a low budget.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people, when they're trying to make super low budgets, they want to like emulate science fiction. They want to emulate their favorite kind of movie.
Right.
And it's like the best movies to make with like between $0 and $10,000 budget is like a very thought out like drama or like a little people movie. You know what I mean?
Right. But of course, the problem with that is that
you have to be a good writer.
Well, and you have to have good actors.
Yeah.
And like how many? I've seen so many of these little low budget kind of people movies where it's just people who are like they're like like
them and their three friends.
Yeah, just like
shot it
these,
over a weekend. Yeah,
having these wooden, fake sounding conversations, and
Well, if you want a couple of good examples of really low budget movies that I think are like absolutely brilliant. First of all, I'll say the movie, we were talking about this, and this actually ties into The White Lotus, because Mike White is the producer and writer of The White Lotus, and I don't know if he's the director. I don't know exactly how involved he is, but he's making it essentially.
Yeah.
And he made I don't know if it was his first movie,
I think it was.
Okay, it might have been his first movie. He made this super low budget movie called Chuck and Buck.
Yeah.
And this movie is like very low budget little human drama movie.
Yeah.
And if you want an example of the kind of thing you should be trying to work on, if you're like somebody trying to make a movie on no budget, look at that movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Also, the movie Creep.
Yeah,
a very well thought out, very unsettling horror movie made with essentially two people.
Yeah.
Like made with a camera guy and an actor.
Yep.
And of course the guy behind the camera is an actor too. But
yeah.
But a big part of the reason that Creep worked is because the guy that plays the villain in Creep is such a good actor.
Oh yeah, for
so
sure.
So like definitely a key element of low budget filmmaking is finding people who can play the part you've written.
Right.
And Chuck and Buck is a good example of that too. The actors in it are all great.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when I think about that, I think about, my first exposure to movies like that was, of course, decades ago. But I remember seeing Jim Jarmusch's first movie, which was Stranger Than Paradise.
Yeah.
And that's a very low-budget film. The camera almost never moves. It's like nailed down to the floor.
Yeah.
So it's just bare bones filmmaking. And yet, I think it's a very entertaining movie, even to this day.
Yeah. Well, it's with the Dogma or Dog Me 95 movement.
Of course.
The idea of just using like everything ambient, everything current, no devices, no set outside of time or set outside of place.
Yep.
Like everything is just as it is.
Yeah, and if that's done well, it's really wonderful. It's like magic because you're taking these very simple things. There's no good lighting, there's no good anything except the acting.
Yeah, it's all based on the performances and the writing.
Yeah. Another one is John Sayles' first movie, which was Return of the Secaucus 7, which actually there was sort of an homage to this called The Big Chill that was made on a much higher budget some years later.
Yeah.
But I still think Return of the Secaucus 7 is maybe a better movie than The Big Chill. And it's just like an ensemble piece. It's a really nice low-budget movie about a bunch of friends. And it's really good.
Another great example of this kind of filmmaking is a movie I saw in college for the first time that I just absolutely loved because it was like such a twisted family movie in a weird way, which was Festin.
Oh, yeah.
The Celebration.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Yeah.
Which is basically a movie about a family that comes together and throughout the course of the movie you find out that they're horrible family secrets.
Yeah.
And it's like a really good, really super cheap movie.
Yeah.
I think it was basically just made in one house.
Yeah.
And it's just like a group of people in one house, in and outside of the house throughout the course of an evening.
Yeah. Yeah, well, or something like My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah.
My Dinner with Andre is a hilarious and wonderful movie, and it's just two guys sitting at a table talking the whole time.
Yeah. It does come off as a little more budgety, though, just because it's shot in a fancy restaurant.
Yeah, and there's different camera angles, and, it's not
shot,
just...
reverse shot.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a little bit more sophisticated, but still, the concept could not be simpler, obviously.
That's a movie I'm always hesitant to recommend to people, though, because I feel like you have to be someone who really genuinely enjoys just talking, like for a long time, like we do.
Yeah.
Like somebody who really just genuinely enjoys like sitting and having like 3-hour conversations about like all different kinds of garbage with people.
Right.
Or like at least about like philosophy, art, culture,
Yeah.
But if you are that kind of person, if you're a person who like, I mean, honestly, I feel like there's maybe more people who would be open to it now than in the past, just because people are so into stuff like ASMR.
Yeah.
People will sit for like hours and listen to like, but I mean, it's not whispery nonsense. It's people actually having a conversation. You have to pay attention to it.
Yeah. Well, but I think
But I mean, we live in a world of podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe My Dinner with Andre, if they just thought of it as a podcast,
Yeah.
they might actually be super into it.
Well, and I think it's really anybody who has ever felt nostalgic about, if in your past you ever sat and spent an evening talking intensely to someone, over a meal or something, I think that you would, because that's why I identify with My Dinner with Andre, because I've had evenings like that where I've had these long conversations with someone.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm doing it with you right now, but I mean, even before that, like, you would just inadvertently end up sitting at a table with somebody who maybe you don't even know that well, and having this incredible conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you come away high,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, My Dinner with Andre is a great one.
Yeah.
And you're right. The more I think about it, the more I think it might work for like the podcast generation. If people are into podcasts, I mean, I just feel like the reference points might be outdated for some people.
Maybe
but it is weird. I mean, it doesn't really reference a lot of like the culture of the time.
But it's funny because I've been seeing more people posting clips from My Dinner with Andre, and particularly it's the clips where they're talking about how, when Andre is talking about how there's this new form of prison,
Yeah.
and that kind of New York is this, test bed for this new form of prison where the prisoners don't know they're prisoners.
Yeah.
And so forth. I think a lot of people are identifying with that now because of the political situation.
Well, people love to take clips from My Dinner with Andre and other things and be like, you see, our world is sick.
Yeah.
Our
Absolutely.
world is sick.
Right.
Even these people in the 70s knew it.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It's probably actually the perfect time for My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah.
If you like listening to long conversations and long fascinating conversations and fantasizing about your experiences, at long wistful dinners with, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the film version of the game where sometimes you play where it's like, if you could have dinner with anybody or living or dead. It's
Right.
Watching that movie is kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's a good one.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that it's. I mean, there's some situations. I mean, we've talked about this before, where if you recommend a thing to people, you kind of got to be careful because oftentimes the person might not be on the same wavelength you're on. You know?
Of course.
And you were talking about John Waters, and I remember when we were living overseas, we had a video store
Pink Flamingos.
on the base. Yeah, exactly. And there was a copy of John Waters' movie Pink Flamingos, which if anybody's seen it knows that it has quite a few shocking things in it, and transgressive things. And I remember we saw this movie on the shelf at the video store, and we had made some acquaintances with this young couple, and they seemed kind of a little hippie-ish to us. The guy had long hair and a beard, and they just seemed
It was filthy.
well, no, I mean they were nice people, but we thought maybe they'd be the kind of people who would appreciate. I mean, we didn't actually analyze it, but we happened to be standing there, and they were looking for movies, and we said, "Have you ever seen this?" And they were like, "No." And we said, it's kind of a crazy comedy. It's not for everybody.
I would never describe Pink Flamingos as a crazy comedy.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't know, what are you going to say? There's a singing asshole.
It's kind of a sick comedy.
Yeah, it's kind of a sick comedy.
It's kind of a twisted, shock and awe comedy.
In retrospect, we probably should have. Yes, we absolutely should have.
It's designed to upset. It was designed to upset and disrupt in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, we didn't say any of
There's a scene in it where someone eats dog poop.
Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, people, I've watched Pink Flamingos. It's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie.
But if you want to go watch a couple of like over-the-top, gross-out type scenes, feel free.
Yeah, we're not recommending Pink Flamingos by any means.
No.
And I actually didn't mean to recommend it to these people. We were just making small talk, but they rented it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had made arrangements to have dinner at their apartment like a few days later. And so when we went over to their apartment, we could hear that they were there because they had a baby. We could hear the baby, and they were like talking to the baby or something, and we
Yeah.
knocked on the door. They didn't answer the
Yeah,
door.
they were like, it's those people.
It's those people. Yeah.
Keep the blinds closed.
Yeah. So that essentially was the end of whatever budding friendship might have been happening there.
They thought you were gonna like them.
Yeah, and I don't blame them because Pink Flamingos. It's not a good movie. It's kind of a terrible movie, but at the same time, it's if you're a film buff, you kind of have to see it. You know, if you're serious about seeing every kind of movie. I mean, I don't regret.
I feel like there's a few John Waters movies that I like better.
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
Crybaby's better.
Yeah, Crybaby's much better.
What's
Hairspray.
that other one? Cry and Shame, I think. The one that has Johnny Knoxville in it.
Yeah, Cry and Shame, I think.
I really liked that one.
Hairspray is great.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just a very good movie on any terms.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like, you know, it became a very successful musical that people have watched for many, many years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And John Travolta played Divine.
Yeah, although I'm not crazy about that version, the musical version. Like, I actually prefer the Hairspray that John Waters made.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it's iconic.
Yeah.
It's iconic. Obviously, whoever, you know, saw the original Hairspray was like, this would make a good musical. And, you know, ever since, part of the culture. It's gotten so big at this point that I think most people don't even know the source material.
No, they probably don't. And it's interesting, actually, that John Waters has gone so mainstream with that because of, you know, so many of his movies are very difficult.
Paid for it.
What's that?
He's getting paid for it. I don't see why he wouldn't.
No, I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying that it's interesting that the culture kind of just overlooks the fact that he's, you know...
That he's John Waters.
That he's John Waters, yeah, exactly.
No, I think people sympathize with him, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he was like a gay guy in the 60s, you know, trying to do something that would make a footprint, you know, I mean, you know, he probably dealt with a lot of, like, you know, homophobia and oppression.
Oh, absolutely.
So as a result, you know, obviously some people go in the opposite direction. You know, people tell him, like, you know, call him a fag or something, and then he's like, I'm gonna show you, you know, what kind of a person I can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, you think I'm disgusting? I'll show you what's disgusting.
You're right, and that's really it. Is that him kind of going to war with genteel culture that, you know, that condemns him. Or
and of course,
whatever.
the whole Divine story is tragic.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Although, I mean, I think Divine,
it's almost like the Chris Farley story.
Yeah, kind of. I do think that Divine actually probably had a better life than she would have necessarily had if she hadn't met John Waters.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, I mean, yeah, she might have killed herself with food either way. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, I don't know. I'm just saying it's still tragic.
Oh,
It's still obviously she was like, at the time, a big figurehead in the gay community, and her death was probably, you know, painful for a lot of people.
Oh, sure. It's funny when I think about Divine. I mean, I like Divine in Hairspray, and I mean, I have nothing against Divine, but I remember my first encounter with a movie that had Divine in it was when my wife and I were first dating, and we took a weekend trip to Manhattan, and we were staying in this hotel that was off of Times Square, and we were walking around Times Square, and this was the old Times Square. It was very crime-ridden, very dangerous at night. But there was a movie theater.
Some might say the better Times Square.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was certainly entertaining. We went to this movie.
Like the Taxi Driver Times Square.
Exactly. Yes, right, from the movie Taxi Driver. But we went to this movie theater, and they were showing two movies. They had two theaters and or two screens, and one of the screens was showing the movie Blood Simple, the Coen Brothers movie Blood Simple, which had just come out, and I had heard was good, so I was kind of wanting to see it. The other movie that was being shown was
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No, it was a movie with Divine in it called Lust in the Dust. It was like a parody of a Western.
Yeah.
Okay, and not a John Waters movie, but it was an attempt to be John Waters-esque, I think. And I had no desire to see Lust in the Dust. I wanted to see Blood Simple, but unfortunately there was a TV screen in the lobby showing a clip from Blood Simple, and it was the clip where Dan Hedaya's character in that movie gets punched in the stomach and vomits. And when my wife, Cindy, saw that scene shown on the TV, she was like, I don't want to see that movie. Because she was thinking the whole movie must be like that, you know? And it didn't look that good to me either. Like, I don't know why they were showing that particular scene in the lobby. That's a stupid way to sell the movie, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But they were showing it, and so because of that,
It triggered her.
Yeah, so we didn't see any movie that night. We just went back to our hotel room and just hung out.
Yeah.
But to this day, I'm sad that I didn't get to see,
Blood Simple
in the theater when it was freshly released.
Yeah.
It just would have been nice.
You still got some good experiences to see some movies when they first came out.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Back to the Future, RoboCop, things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. I have to tell that Back to the Future story one of these days.
But
yeah.
But but I mean, things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, with my ex, who I was with for a really long time, I remember there were definitely situations where she was disturbed by movies, and we had to either leave them or not see them, or because of her particular trauma.
Yeah.
And it's hard. You go back to those memories. You're you feel like those experiences might have been screwed up, but I feel like that's just sort of life. Because I feel like a lot of times in life, when you think an experience is going to go one way, it goes another way. You know what I mean? So it's just sort of like for example, right now, I'm about to go on school vacation and, take a little fun trip somewhere. And, I'm hoping it'll be a little relaxing, fun trip. But, for all I know, any number of things could happen.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, one hopes it'll be fun. But that's, of course, not a reason to not do things.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, as we're driving where we're going, maybe the rapture will start.
Maybe.
And we'll watch all the good Christians get pulled up into heaven and as we're cursed on the dying earth.
Yeah.
As Satan rises out of a crack in the earth with his dragon penises.
Well, maybe you'll get a better hotel room,
Yeah. For some reason that made The End pop into my head. That Seth
exactly.
Rogen multiple famous people movie.
Yeah,
the comedy.
I actually think that's a great movie. I really
it's
like
really
that
good.
movie.
It's one of my favorites about The Rapture.
Yeah.
Aside from The Rapture.
The movie The Rapture, which Michael Tolkien. That's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go into a long tear about it. Although if you haven't seen the movie The Rapture, directed by Michael Tolkien, you got to see it because it's, to me, one of the great. It's just a great movie.
Yeah, not if you're staunchly Christian or something though, because it's kind of critical of religion.
Yeah, this is not a pro rapture, pro. This is an.
But I mean, a lot of my favorite religious movies are either comedies or very critical of religion, and that's just because of who I am and my political ideologies and my philosophy of life.
Yeah, same here, absolutely. And I'm not anti-Christian. In fact, some of my favorite movies, I just recently watched one of my favorite movies from the '70s, which was Oh God, with George Burns. I mean, I love that movie. And
I'm not super anti-religious either. I just think a lot of times there's very religious people who are very rude and cruel, and the establishment of religion is used to do a lot of terrible things.
Yes.
I think because I would never want to infringe upon anyone's right to believe in whatever the hell they want to believe in. I just, the amount of times, and you see this so much on the internet, where you go online and you see supposedly good Christians or good Muslims or good whatever, saying these horrible things to people because those people have said anything that puts any of their belief systems into the slightest question. You know what I mean? Or done anything referencing their belief system. Saying these horrible things. And it's that's not being a good Christian. That's not being a good religious person. If you're a religious person and, you believe in a religious system that preaches peace and love, even if people don't follow your system of belief, you should still respect their rights, because in your system of belief, you should be a good person. So you should help those people and, be there with them. And if they end up going to hell or whatever in your system of religion, why does that affect you?
Yeah.
You are the one who's trying to be a good person and get into heaven. And I get the argument is oh, I'm a better person if I try to get more people into heaven. But I feel the way to getting people into heaven is not telling them what an idiot they are and that they're going to hell.
Right.
Or that, if they get an abortion, they're a murderer.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? That's not the way to being a good person or convincing anyone to join your good people campaign.
Right. No, I agree. And in fact...
Or murdering people.
Yeah. No, I think that, I've met plenty of Christians who I thought were incredibly admirable people, in my life. and I have
And
nothing,
Mormons.
and Mormon, but that's a form of Christian.
No,
isn't
I
it?
know. But I just mean because you've traveled through Mormon country.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that yeah, we've talked about, is that, I used to do a lot of hitchhiking. For a couple of years, I was hitchhiking when I was young. And when I was hitchhiking through Utah, I was picked up by like whole families. Now, this is something that never happened to me. Like, I didn't have families with kids in the car pick me up generally.
And you looked like a dirty vagrant.
Well, I don't know about that. I was a handsome young fellow, but
No, I know. I just mean like you were dirty from the road.
Yeah, of course. And I had my duffel bag. I could have been some crazy psycho, but these Mormon families would pick me up and be very nice to me. And I was very impressed by that, because it was not something that would happen in other parts of the country, where you would have families with kids trusting that you weren't going to kill them. And now whether that was wise of them to do, I don't know, but I've never forgotten that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's complicated, and obviously we're not the ones to parse out, like the way you should live or the things you should believe in.
No, of course.
We just want people to care about each other and to try and do good things for and with each other.
Yeah.
And to respect each other's beliefs and ways of life.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just always loved human diversity. I love to know that there are priests out there. I love to know that there are people of all religions and all ways of thinking. I mean, I'd rather there were not so many people who were out there wanting to, kill each other, But other than that, I like different modes of thought. And
I think generally speaking, smart people do.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about, like, I was about to say like Carl Sagan's book Contact, but I've never actually read the book. I've just seen the movie Contact. Mm-hmm. But that movie, and I'm assuming the book is reflective of the movie, or the movie's reflective of the book.
Sure.
Is kind of about trying to come to like a peaceful coexistence between the ideals of religion and the ideas of science. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's possible. It's possible to, like, be religious and also, like, be scientific and, like, share love and ideas both ways.
Yeah, and I think history shows that. I mean, many of the great thinkers from history, like Newton and, people like that, were actually Christians. You know, even, the Voyage of the Beagle, Charles Darwin, was a Christian, even though he invented
he got excommunicated from the church, didn't he?
Well, I don't think so.
I think there were a lot of people who were mad at his ideas.
Well, they certainly later they became angry at his ideas.
But I think in his lifetime.
It's possible. I don't know that much about the life of Charles Darwin.
I think people were mad about his theory of evolution in his lifetime.
Well, that could be. I mean, there have been certainly many religious thinkers who became heretics, or were declared heretics because they said something that offended the powers that be.
Heretic.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, either way, it's all food for thought.
Food for thought.
Thank you for tuning in to this
Yes,
episode of our podcast, and we got a little bit into religious philosophy there at the end. I hope that wasn't too unbearable, but please continue to listen, and we'll keep doling out the funnies and the references and the fun stuff. Get yourself back down in the bosom of the Lord.
All right.
And on that Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle reference, we'll see you next time.
Nice.